p.m. Let's get started. Welcome to KS Recruiting Talk. Keith Scott, founder of KS Recruiting Talk and host for tonight's space. Special teams coordinator and DB's coach at Central Arkansas. Tonight's space is a collaboration of KS Recruiting Talk and a well-known platform in college football, College Network. Welcome. How did KS Recruiting Talk come about? It started out with sending out daily tweets about the recruiting process and motivational tips. Why? So recruits, parents, and high school coaches could get a feel on who I am away from the grads. God moved me into creating Twitter Space, which was a 2-year-old ideal in my phone. 2 words I identify KS Recruiting Talk with is consistent and growth. Why consistent? I send out consistent tweets about the recruiting process and motivational things. The other word is growth. I started out doing Twitter Space last May, and people wanted to hear more. My more is KS Recruiting Talk is now on 4 major platforms: YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. My 4th and newest platform is TikTok. It all started with the vision to motivate recruits, parents, and high school coaches about the recruiting process. Now my YouTube is up to 700 plus subscribers and now known as a popular place for recruits, parents, and high school coaches. It wasn't about what everyone is seeing now, the viral tweets, the likes, and the retweets. Because if it was about that, I would have stopped a long time ago. Thanks for all the love and support. I see every heart, I see every retweet, and I see every follow. What's my purpose? To inspire, educate, and motivate recruits, parents, and high school coaches. And even some college coaches that might not have the recruiting game down. This space is for you. So welcome. Rules for tonight's space. First off, this space is totally NCAA compliant. No high school coach or recruit can speak. They cannot send in questions to be read. Guest panel cannot promote a recruit or their high school. My goal is for KS Recruiting Talk to become the #1 free recruiting resource for recruits, parents, and high school coaches. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Coaching Network, for joining in with KS Recruiting Talk. Thank you, guest panel. Guest coaches, you can consider this time as giving back. It's just like community service. This 45 minutes to an hour you will spend will be well spent to inspire, educate, and motivate recruits, parents, and high school coaches. I'll be sharing my platform tonight with some of the best coaches in college football. I'll let our guest panel introduce themselves at this time.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Creech Mill, corners coach at Central Arkansas, a regular on the space. Thank you for having me. Let's have a good time tonight. Thank you.
How you doing, guys? My name is Kyle Williams. I'm the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator at Texas A&M Commerce. Coach has asked me to be on the space a few times. Look forward to doing it every single time. Can't thank him enough.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Corey Yates, co-founder and CEO of Real Analytics. We are an AI-powered sports technology company that measures athleticism through game film. Thanks for having me on, Keith.
My name is Tony Gilbert. I'm the defensive coordinator at Mississippi College. And Keith, you guys, appreciate you all having me on this cast. I really enjoy it. It is big time.
Good evening, folks. My name is Jamar Johnson. I'm the wide receivers coach here at the University of Central Arkansas. Appreciate y'all having me.
How's everyone doing? This is Tony Davis, run game coordinator, D-line coach at Central Arkansas. Glad to be on here
Welcome
tonight.
on, Coach Davis. First-time guy on KS Recruiting Talk. Excited to hear you speak tonight. Before we get to our topic, I want to cover some things. So how does a high school prospect or junior college prospect slip so far down university's recruiting boards and they were so close to playing D1 football only to end up without an offer from an FBS program? Truth being told, most recruits, parents, and high school coaches want the FBS scholarship, and they were turning their nose up at FCS, D2, and D3 opportunities. Yes, the portal has taken some of the FBS scholarships, but there are still competitive divisions out there. Most people would say the transfer portal has reduced the opportunities for high school and junior college players to get a scholarship. But this is the educational part I want me and the guest panel to touch on tonight. So, topic number 1, how does a coach make the choice between high school recruit, portal recruit, and Juco recruit? I'll let Coach Cree get us started here.
Thank you, Coach. Well, I'll start by saying, it's a lot of layers to it, and the majority of this is going to be needs-based. So for us, especially, everything is dependent on where the program stands after a real evaluation of the current roster and the guys you already got on campus. So you got to understand that it's depending on the status of your staff as well and what sense of urgency they have to win based on the pressure being put on them by the athletic administration. So all that plays a part as well. So if you have a little pressure on you, you got to go out and win. Now your back is against the wall. That kind of changes things for you from a logical standpoint. You got to go out and find players that's already experienced at the college level and that hopefully have already been battle tested because that's what you need at the time. But on the other hand, if there is no true pressure from the administration to win now, your recruiting philosophy kind of looks different for you because now I have guys in my room that I've already been to war with. They've already done a good job for me, and I trust them, so I don't necessarily have a reason to go in the portal and shop around, which is what I prefer. I'd much rather get a high school player, particularly early enrollee, get him on campus early and start developing that guy for when it is his time, letting him know there's no failure if you don't come in and produce right away. We don't need that from you. You sit back, learn from these guys, develop, kind of figure this college thing out, and when it's your time, then you'll get to shine. Thank you, Coach.
Inspire, educate, motivate. Great job, Coach Cree. Enjoy working with you every day, man. All right, Coach Johnson.
Yes, sir. For me, to be frankly honest, I took a little bit different approach. For me, I go a tier of four main categories. Okay, so for me, I'm going to go with best talent available. That's going to be my thing, regardless of the level. Okay, so I don't care if it's going to be high school, portal, or JUCO. Is either best talent available. Then the next thing for me is going to be academics. Okay, so is this a guy that's going to keep our staff employed, right? And he could be the best talent available, but is his grades right? Okay, after that, I'm going to be looking at, okay, what does the college experience look like? Okay, so does he have college experience? Okay, what does his game tape look like? Can he make it through a college program? Okay, and then the last thing that I'm really going to hone in on is he coachable? Okay, does he have issues off the field? Are these things that we can work with, right? So that's, as I say those four things, you got to understand, it's going to be dependent upon, okay, each other, okay? So if he's the best available, okay, but he has issues, okay, all right, well, I'm going to have to work with that, okay? But if he's academically eligible and I know that he's the best talent available, all right, every day of the week, that's going to win, okay? So I always break it down in them four categories for me, Coach.
Thank you, Coach Johnson. We'll go into Coach Williams.
Yeah, Coach, those were great points. Those guys hit on the need-based and, is that guy the best available talent? A couple things that we'd like to look at here. I'd like to look at, is the guy clearly better than the guys that we have, regardless of class orientation, okay? So there's a transfer kid, and I don't think that he's better than the guy that, we had on special teams last year that played sparingly in a game, and Coach Cree hit it, the development part of it. If I feel like this guy's going to be, if they're even, then I'd go with the guy that we're working on developing. The next thing that you look at when you talk about the transfer guys, you got to look at the relationships. I've taken transfer guys from guys that I've known. I think those relationships are key because a lot of times you can't get those scholarships back. And if you don't make the right choice and don't have the kid doesn't have the right people on his side, those things that could present problems for you. And then the last thing, Coach Cree hit it on the head, the development part of it. You see a lot of coaches not willing to develop guys into what they want them to be. And then also the pressure to win forces the hand of the coaches to go get older guys that we deem better than the guys that we already have. So those are some of the things that we look at, Coach.
Wow, really good job, coaches, man. And I'll take us home with topic number one. I want to say this first. There's still college football programs that believe in building a solid foundation with high school players. And the reason why I say this is because coaches understand that portal kids transfer for a reason. And oftentimes it can mess with the culture of the program. So coaches are really careful with bringing in a certain number of portal kids because you can mess up the culture of your program. So I want to also say this. So high school athletes, your stock is still really high with college programs. I know so many people say the portal is killing high school recruiting, and there's some truth to that to a certain point. But my thing is just know colleges want to build from the high school level first. Next is I think the NCAA should increase scholarships by 10. FBS go from 85 scholarships to 95. I think FCS should go from 63 scholarships to 73, and D2 should go from 36 to 46. And I think this would help with extra scholarships for being able to pick up a Juco or a high school recruit. Man, topic number 1 is complete. Inspire, educate, motivate. Topic number 2, has the transfer portal changed college recruiting? And I'll let Coach Yates get us started here.
Hey, thanks a lot, Keith.
Sorry about that. Go ahead. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead, Corey. Did he get knocked off?
Like he muted.
Should be unmuted.
There we go.
There you go.
All right, sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's no problem. So the short answer is yes, the transfer portal has affected college recruiting. And I like to think about that in 3 different ways. 1 is roster management. 2 is talent availability. And then thirdly, smart college football programs are now focused more on player retention initiatives. And I'll talk about that in a bit. But getting back to roster management. So if you think about the availability of talent that's out there now because of the transfer portal, there's a lot more fluidity when it comes to roster management. And so now college football teams are having to think about their rosters, not from year to year, but from semester to semester because of both voluntary and involuntary turnover. So that puts a lot of stress on coaches and personnel departments to be able to forecast needs as well as available scholarships, which then leads to placing a premium on signing players that can come in and contribute right away if they have some involuntary turnover on their roster. And then secondly, you think about the greater pool of talent that the transfer portal provides. So there's a greater supply of players out there, which puts a lot of pressure on the evaluation part of the recruiting process. Now coaches and the personnel department, they have many more players to evaluate, which sometimes can make it tough to properly evaluate every single player that's available both in the transfer portal and then out there from a Juco and a high school perspective. And then thirdly, I talked about retention initiatives. And I'm not just talking about NIL, but you have smart football programs are now thinking about ways to motivate, recognize, and provide additional exposure to help retain the talent that they have, because they are understanding that it's cheaper to retain and develop talent than it is to go out and acquire that talent via the transfer portal. So for those high school players that are on the call this evening, you want to make sure that you're asking some of these college programs how they're thinking about retaining and developing their players, so that way you can make the right decision that's the right fit for you.
Really good job right there, Corey. Remember, recruits and parents and high school coaches, you can catch tonight's recruiting talk on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify within the next 24 hours. And I'll let Coach Gilbert go here.
Well, Coach Yates, you pretty much handled it. You can drop the mic on that one, because that is pretty much it in a nutshell. But as we all know, the portal has changed college recruiting. Now, one of the things is it's kind of a two-edged sword. It made it better, and it made it worse. But the main thing of that it has to do, it is what it is. But as we get into it further, I would explain my opinion, later on when it talks about, when we get down to, when should a player enter the portal and stuff. But it has changed the game.
Inspire, educate, motivate. Remember, if you're a coach and you want to be featured on KS Recruiting Talk, shoot me a DM. Let's get this thing moving. I want to shout out Coaching Network real quick. They shot me a DM, asked to do a collaboration, and we're here now. We're living out that dream. So appreciate you guys for jumping on. Next, we'll go into Coach Davis.
Yes, sir. Like you said, man, Coach Jason did a phenomenal job of kind of laying out the foundation, and all of those things are very true. One thing, just having the opportunity to work through the portal and work with, the high school recruiting aspect of it. I just want to say this, man, just don't make your decisions reactional. Like, don't let it be reactional, man. Make sure it's a transactional thing, man, and it's not reactional, because you want to make sure, like Coach J said, ask these programs all these questions, man, because they're also, with the transfer portal being out there, it does put a lot of pressure on these programs to constantly evaluate, well, who's in the portal, well, compared to high school. And like we mentioned earlier, most programs want to develop from the high school ranks, but if on a need basis, whether it's injury, like I said, whether it's retention, you may lose guys. And I think the most important thing is that it's a relationship-based thing, man. So don't let it be reactional. That's my biggest take on this topic, man. Don't let your decision be reactional in the recruiting process, and don't look for the next thing, man. Make sure you're building solid foundation with the people who you're recruiting with. You're asking the right questions, and you make sure you know what situation you're going into before you make those decisions.
Great job right there, Coach Davis. Inspire, educate, motivate. If you're new to KS Recruiting Talk, you can catch us on 4 major platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now TikTok. Next, we'll go right into Coach Johnson.
Yes, I think this specific question is an amazing topic, really for high school recruits, their families, and even the high school coaches to really understand. 100%, I think the transfer portal has changed recruiting. It should change that game entirely. And this is kind of funny, but I look at it like I look at the portal like Amazon Prime. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you love that, because I can go on there today, see what I want, get it exactly how I want it, and even better yet, I can get it in 1 to 2 days, maybe, right? Exactly how I want it, right? The high school in the Juco route, I got to do a little bit more work to get it, right? You might got to jump in your car, almost like a store, right? You got to go to a store, got to go check out the aisle, what's in the aisle. It's a lot more work to go get that item, but the portal, okay, you can just go get exactly what you want, right, after you've done your homework a little bit, okay? With that being said, why do I mean that? Because after talking to a whole lot of high-level high schools, okay, just the portal, there's no need for a high-level FCS or a G5, where back in the day, they would drool over a high-level high school's maybe backup player, okay, because they know, the starting quarterback or the starting receiver at a high-level high school, he might be going to the Power 5. An FCS might be like, man, I'm not going to get the starter, but the backup kid at that high-level high school, man, we would go get that kid every day of the week, right? But now, a high-level FCS or a G5, they don't need to go get that kid. They can simply go to the portal, just, for example, and go get, USC's backup 4-star running back, backup 4-star receiver. They don't got to go to the high school and go get the backup player. That's, to be frankly honest, a really, really, really good kid, right? So from that, some kids and coaches and families like, man, why is my son not getting recruited, even though he plays behind a top-level guy and he has maybe some reps? Well, because that program doesn't have to go get that kid now. So just understanding the why behind it, you will be able to navigate through that. So I think that's a great question to ask, Coach Scott.
Inspire, educate, motivate. Thank you right there, Coach Johnson. Man, topic number 2 is complete. Really good job, coaches. Really good details. Really good nuggets thrown out for recruits, parents, and high school coaches. Let's get right into the middle of this thing. We're on topic number 3. What's your opinion on the one-time transfer rule? And I'll let Coach Williams get us started here.
Okay, Coach. Wanted to look at the origin of the rule, just in case we didn't know exactly what it says and how it looks. So, undergrad student athletes, the criteria that has to be met before you can utilize the D1 one-time exception to seek immediate transfer eligibility. Student athletes must transfer from a 4-year institution to another D1 school. Okay, that's the first criteria. Okay, the second one is they must leave their current 4-year institution and academically eligible. Okay, so you have to be eligible. Okay, and then the last one, have not transferred previously from a 4-year institution and put it in writing along with their head coach that they did not directly or indirectly communicate with the new staff before hitting the portal. Okay, and you see people trying to get around those kind of things all around. You see kids reaching out to their friends at particular schools that they're interested in, trying to get the information through their friends so that it's not on the coaches. So you see some of those things. My opinion on this matter is we've created a free agency in college football. We all know that with the portal. COVID backed us up a little bit with some of that. And it allows our student athletes to think about transferring before they even get on campus. So the mentality of the kid has changed. And a lot of them they know that they're going into a situation where I kind of didn't want to go to this school anyway. I know I got the one-time exception as long as I keep my grades good and do certain things. And a lot of those kids need that development, need that red shirt. Some of those kids aren't as good as they think or aren't quite ready yet to take the field and make you win. And then you go and get lost in the portal. So, it's kind of a sticky situation. You got to understand how to navigate it. You got to understand how the rules read and how that applies to you and your situation, and kind of go from there, Coach.
Really good job right there, Coach Williams. Man, you drop some gems on guys. I know you inspire, educate, and motivate a lot of people right there. And that's what KS Recruiting Talk is about, man. It's about giving out quality information about the recruiting process. Recruits, parents, and high school coaches, if you're listening, man, and you're hearing some really good stuff. I don't mind if you shoot some emojis in here, some 100s, some claps, some hands. Let's let these coaches know they're doing a great job. So what we'll do is we'll go right into Coach Davis.
Yeah, Coach Williams, a phenomenal job there. Like you said, he kind of dropped the mic on that one as well. Love the feedback, actually stating what the rules is, because, like you said, some kids don't know the rule, man. They talk to their friends and try to get insight on how things are at their program. And that's what I kind of meant by, on the last take, what I said, don't make your decisions. And I'm talking about currently kids that are in college who qualify for the one-time transfer rule. Don't make your decision reactional, man. Make sure things are transactional for you, whether it's to improve your situation. Yeah, there's some advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantages being that you don't quite know the situation that you may go into. You may not ask all the right questions going into it as far as how that team is managed that roster. You could be going into a situation where you are searching for more playing time or more reps at a school when they could see you as just a piece to provide depth, right? So you want to make sure that you are asking the right questions, man, and not make your decisions reactional, man. Make sure it's a transactional thing for you. And what I mean by transactional, and that kind of ties into the advantages of it, make sure you have a relationship with a coach that's on that roster. On that program at that institution, man. Make sure you know that he's going to give you honest feedback let you know exactly how they see you fit into their program, man. And if that's going to improve your situation, whether it's, some kids jumping in this thing for financial reasons, man. If whatever your situation is, make sure that transaction and the reason that you're transferring for this one time is going to improve your situation. Know that I'm going to go in and I'm going to have an opportunity to compete for reps right away. And I'm not going to be just a piece on the depth chart, right? Make sure you're asking all the proper questions to make sure that it's going to improve your situation. And so with that being said, make sure it's transactional, not reactional, man. Do not make decisions based on your emotions. You may be, I don't know, whatever your situation may be, you may get into it with a strength coach. You may have a disagreement on some things. Some stuff you just got to see through, man. Some things you have to, navigate through and find ways and lean on others that's in your program. Then your situation could improve there as well. So don't make sure you're being reactional in the process. And that's my biggest message for you guys today.
Thank you there, Coach Davis. Appreciate that. If you're on it, you're getting good information. Don't mind comment, retweeting. Go subscribe to KS Recruiting Talk on YouTube. All right, we'll go right into Corey Yates.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. I think the one-time rule is absolutely necessary. I think it's necessary because it adds some level of stability to the roster, which in the long run is going to benefit both the players and the school. So from a player perspective, I think the one-time transfer rule will help build more resolve so that these players will be able to persevere through challenging times, right? So sometimes, the players can lean on the transfer portal as a crutch because they come in, they may not necessarily get that immediate playing time that they thought they would get, right? And then they want to parachute out of there after one semester. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. But in short, I think that benefits the player to have some stability in terms of just hanging in there, persevering through some of the challenges, and it's going to help build that player up from a resolve standpoint. And then from a school perspective, I think it gives the coaches, gives the player personnel executives better line of sight to forecast team needs and available scholarships.
Inspire, educate, motivate. Thank you right there, Corey. We'll go right into Coach Chris.
Thank you, Coach. You got me following up some dogs, but solely from my own experience, at first I didn't know how to feel about the one-time transfer rule. Like anyone else, I'm not the most receptive to something new, especially being at the FCS level. I thought at first, the rule would naturally work against us as the larger schools tend to, poach our players from our roster. But obviously that didn't last long because if you don't adjust, you'll be left behind. So now it doesn't bother me as much. People love to say, Coach, that we as coaches are going to pursue other opportunities if it gives us the best chance to better our situation. And honestly, that is true. Keyword being better the situation. So I'm actually for the one-time transfer rule. I can't be against it because it gives these kids the key to their future and what they want to do, and I'm all for that. We all said it, we're for that. The thing about it for me is understanding that what was the kid like when he was on our campus. If he was a good kid, had his academics in line, he did all he could do as far as helping our football program win games. He's an all-conference player, helped us win a conference championship. At that point, he's done all he can do for the program. And I understand that if he needs a change of scenery, he may be a fifth-year guy. Everybody he came in with is left, so now he's with new staff, new players. He don't really fit in, so he needs a change of scenery. Or he can feel that transferring to another university gives him a better chance at a career at the next level. Those are all real-life situations, and honestly, if we were in that situation, we would do what's best for us, so I have to understand when a player does what's best for them. The only thing I ask that, just like Coach Davis said, kids aren't emotional when making these decisions, aren't impulsive or just reactionary. I want you to do it. I want you to go into it having clear thoughts about it, having talked to your family, and having a plan on what you're going to do, and then obviously lead the program in the correct fashion. That's all that I ask. Thank you.
Co-host, Tramel, really good job, man. I've done 13 spaces from last meeting. Now Coach Tramel has been a part of all 13. Really good job, really good details there. Remember, you can catch tonight's Recruiting Talk on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts within the next 24 hours. I add just a little bit on here before we go to topic number 4, and I think the one-time transfer rule is in there as a clause for a player that feel like he doesn't have a relationship with the coach once he get there. I think it's a safe base for the NCAA to say, hey, if they can leave, you can leave. And I think I remember Coach Creek probably saying that, but I think all this stuff is relationship based. It forces coaches to be more relationship based and not just coach the kids when they're on the grass and have a relationship with them when they're on the grass, but to have a relationship with them away from the building as well. So that concludes topic number 3. Man, really good job, coaches. We will go into topic number 4. What do you feel high school and junior college recruits need to do to stay ahead of portal players? And I'll let Coach Gilbert get us started here.
Well, as we know, the basic thing is, of course, is, the high school and the junior college kid, make sure that he's academically eligible. Okay, that's number one. Make sure that. But then it goes back to the old cliche. For you to stay ahead of the portal, you have to be a dominating player where you're at. Just as simple as that. You have to go. You have to put your best foot forward. You got to be the best that you can be. So that means that you got to train. That means you got to get yourself ready because people are wanting guys that are dominating the game, that are players, that are bona fide players, not a guy that can possibly maybe develop, and they're still doing that. But still, if you want to stay ahead of the portal, because that's one thing, the guys in the portal, they have a little bit more experience. And that's the big thing that a lot of coaches are going after is that experience. So to me, the high school kid, junior college kid, you got to make sure you dominate. You got to be the best player on the field. You got to be an all-conference player. You got to do what you were paid to do. And what I mean by paid, your education to get out there and do what your God-given talent that God gave you to get out there and do. So that's my opinion.
Good job right there, Coach Gilbert. Inspire, educate, motivate. Let's go to Coach Johnson.
You know what, Coach Gilbert, you hit it right on the nose. I think the number one, 100% best question for a prospect, okay, his family or his coach, right? But mainly, obviously, the prospect. The best question that he can ask himself, all right, will a coach believe that I am the best available prospect, not later, but right now? Will a coach believe I'm the best available prospect, not later, but right now? So you got to understand, right? Okay, a portal kid, all right, he has proven to get into college, right? If he's leaving, that might be a whole nother conversation, but he's proven to get into college, right? Right? So you got to understand, right? He's also had game experience, right? Things like that. So a high school and a Juco kid got to understand, will a coach say I'm the best available right now? Okay, no, what does that mean? Okay, he has to academically and skill-wise, okay, be ready right now. Okay, you don't have the time to say, all right, I have all this time, I'm really fast or I'm really strong. Oh, that college has 2-3 years to really develop me. No, son. All right, the colleges are going to love a kid that's going to be available right now. That's really polished. Okay, and if a college is going to say, all right, I can bring this young man and develop him, you better be well-rounded. Where to the point you're going to be better than the Juco kid, or should I say better than the portal kid? Right, that's how you're going to stay ahead of that portal kid. All right, high school and a Juco kid, you better be better than that, okay? Don't wait to feel like, all right, I'm just going to take my time to get better, right? Are you ready right now? I know me and we talked about the other day. A program is really lucky to have a kid for 4 years. So if you think about it like that, right, a program being lucky to have a kid for 4 years, that means kids might be coming in and leaving at a faster rate than we're even used to from years ago. Okay, so will a coach believe that I'm the best available prospect right now? All right, that's how you're going to stay ahead of the portal, right? You can answer that, right, just by your everyday habits.
Appreciate that, Coach Johnson. Man, really good job. We'll let Coach Creed jump in right here.
I'm along the same lines as Coach Johnson. You know, I don't know if there's really a way for them to stay ahead of the game, because for a program like us, high school and JUCO players' value never decrease. So there's nothing for you to stay ahead. You have the same value that you had before for a program like us. And just understanding, like he also said, we're looking at the best available. It don't matter what level you come from. We're just looking at the best available athlete to make our program better. And also I like to say, no shade, but if I'm a high school or JUCO player, you shouldn't be discouraged by the portal anyway. Because like Coach Scott opened up with on the space, the dudes in the portal for a reason. Rather it be from a competition standpoint, they could be a step too slow or inch too short, or they could have their own baggage that they come with. Those are all things you have to take into account when you're looking at this process. Whatever it may be, you just got to understand that just because they're from the portal doesn't mean that they're the answer that a program is looking for, especially if that program is accustomed to having or upholding a certain culture. That transfer portal guy may not fit into that culture, which will put you above that player when it comes down to the decision-making process. So just keep those things in mind, too. Thank you.
Great job, Coach Creed, man. You killed it. You killed it, mate. Hey, this topic is one that may ruffle some feathers, but hey, it has to be talked about, and we have to give out the details. And I'll let Coach Williams close us out.
Yeah, Coach, great job, guys. That's good stuff. You know, it's tough for those guys to stay ahead, especially if you're not, you know, the top prospect going FBS. But you know, these guys are in the same boat as I am over at UCA, Central Arkansas. It's an FCS program. So I just want to look at a couple things real quick. Okay, the game has changed in a sense where, you know, back in the day, I would say, you know, 20 years ago, whatever it may be, coaches used to look at the rising seniors. And the game has changed so much to where if you're not on those major college boards as you know, getting those offers going into your junior year or shortly right after your junior year, you know, that kind of puts you behind. And so, you know, you got to be able to adapt to that. What do I mean by that, Coach? So, in my opinion, I think the best opportunity is the opportunity that allows you to come into a program and develop to be the best that you could be. A lot of kids look at it, they look at it for what they want. And Coach continues to say, you know, don't make these things reactional. You know, that has to be at the forefront. What's going to get me to where I want to be? It may not be, you know, Texas A&M, you know, but a Texas A&M Commerce where I can go and develop and put myself in a situation to be as successful as I would have been if I would have went to A&M. So, you know, I think you got to look at it from that standpoint and who has the best plan for you, and that will make the situation better for you from a growth and development standpoint.
Hey, Coach Scott, can I just add something to this topic?
Yes, so go ahead.
So one thing I wanted to shed some light on is the why. So the coaches kind of talked about best available. And what I want the student athletes who are on the call to understand, think about these coaches and the decisions that they have to make in terms of roster management. So as they're evaluating these players, evaluation is all about projection. They have to be able to turn the tape on and project how you will play and how you will produce for them at a higher level, be it D2, FCS, G5, or Power 5. It is candidly speaking, it is much tougher to do to project a high school player to a Division I college player coming out of high school. A little bit easier to do when you're looking at a guy that's in the portal that has 300, 400, 500 snaps at the collegiate level. And so when they turn that tape on, they talk about best available, it's easier to project a player that has experience. When they talk about experience, they're talking about snaps. Hey, this guy, we know, we don't have to guess whether or not his skill set is going to translate to whatever level, you know, we're talking about here. With the transfer portal kid, they can easily go in there, they can see his production, they can see his number of snaps, and then that projection is a lot easier because they've done it at that level. or maybe one level below, right? So, if you're an FCS kid and you're looking at a Division II transfer portal prospect who may have had success at the Division II level, all-conference, all-American D2 guy, right? It's much easier to project that D2 player up to FCS, right, than it is a high school player that may be playing 2A ball, up that level. So just understand the why when they talk about, hey, we're looking for best available. Hope that helps.
Inspire, educate, motivate. If you're a coach and you're on and you're listening and you want to be featured on KS Recruiting Talk, shoot me a DM. Let's talk about it. We're going into topic number 5, man. This has been an awesome space. I appreciate every coach. I appreciate every listener, man. We'll get started with topic number 5. When should a player enter the transfer portal? And I got the honor of starting us out right here. And first, I'll say the portal has changed my thinking in the recruiting process. I believe every kid should go into the portal. I think every kid think about going into the portal. They go in thinking they'll get out. But the flip side is they're wrong. Because there's kids that's in the portal right now. They've been in the portal over a semester long. And they went in with the mind that they're going to get bigger. They won't have to lateral or step down. And the offers that they start to get led them to a path that they had no game plan if it went wrong. So the truth is some recruits are still in the portal. But my top reasons for a player to enter the transfer portal is if there's a reason to get back closer to home due to a family illness, or they just had a kid. I think these are legit reasons to go in the portal. To go in the portal because a lack of playing time, or I don't want to compete. I don't like those reasons. And then my second reason is if a player, I think it was Coach Creed that talked about this, if a player has done all that he can do on and off the field at that school. I mean, he has broken records. He has went to class. He's graduated early. He will be a fifth-year senior. He's done everything that he can potentially do, and he wants to try. He wants to try and challenge himself. He wants to go to another level. I think this is a legit reason to go in the portal. Maybe he has one more year left, and he's a fifth-year guy. He wants to just use that 1 year to go to the FBS level and try his luck, or from a D2 to FCS level and try his luck, or whatever the case may be, they want to go up. But I will say this, just remember, anytime you go in the portal, it is a risk. And it's a huge risk because you don't know what, I think Coach Williams talked about this, you don't know what people's needs are. Some schools you may desire to go to may not have a need for you. They might not have a DB position and you're a DB. They may not have a D-line position, you're a D-line. So there's a number of different elements in there that I think recruits need to look at. But those are my top 2. We'll go right into Coach Gilbert now.
Keith, I have to agree with you totally. Especially, I agree with you. You've done everything that you've done at that university. Been all conference, done what you're supposed to do. Yes, that's and like you said, you want to try yourself somewhere else. That's when you go. But I'm gonna tell you something. This might not be popular, but it is what it is. I tell it to you just like it is. One thing, high school guys, college guys, you do not. Here's one thing: you do not quit a job unless you have a job, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. You don't quit a job unless you have a job. And so, and that's, that's one of the things that I feel like that I think guys, they get into the portal too soon. Just like you said, Coach, that there's a lot of guys that's in the portal that's still in the portal. And, that's a sad case. But there are times, as we all know, there are times to get in there. But you got to know, and that's one thing I think the high school, the parents, that you have to get on and that you have to talk with your kid and have good communication with the kid and be able to tell them, okay, and y'all talk this thing out. Because I think a lot of times, like one of the coaches said, it's basically doing it off reaction. So that's my views on it, and that's one of my key points about it.
Thank you right there, Coach Gilbert. Inspire, educate, motivate. Remember, you can catch tonight's Recruiting Talk on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts within the next 24 hours. We'll go right into Coach Davis.
Yes, sir. And again, you guys did a phenomenal job, man, kind of outlining. I mean, and all those things are true. I hope every prospect and guys who, even if whether it's college kids that's on here that's thinking about it, man, take these nuggets and listen, man. And again, I'm gonna keep saying it, man. Don't let it be reaction, man. You have to understand the situation that you are in and where you stand, where you are, man. You're gonna have to see some of those things through. If you're a guy that's maybe third on a depth chart, right, and you may not even have any game film. All you have is practice film, man. So you have to understand what you're going up against. Like Coach Jake said, man, when you're talking as far as just quality amount of snaps compared to a guy that's actually played collegiate snaps in a game compared to practice, it's completely different. You see those two things in two completely different lenses. So you have to understand where you are. And for the guys who are the all-conference, like the coaches said previously, man, you've done all that you can do at that program. You have to also make sure your decision isn't reactionary either. You can't jump in and just say, well, I want to go here. Again, you don't know that situation at that school. You don't understand the roster management. You don't understand the thought process that these coaches are thinking as far as their outlook on that program. These are all things you have to consider. Yes, having that status behind your name will definitely get you attention. It may elevate you, but it may put you. It may be a lateral move. It may not be the higher level. It may not be a Power 5 school. So you have to understand these things, and again, don't take it personal, man. Understand, like Coach Scott said, it's a risk. It's a risk in it all. It's a risk for that coach that's gonna take a chance on you as well. So you have to understand both sides of it, and make sure you making sure you're making a decision for your situation that's best for you, and don't make it reactional.
Great job right there, Coach Davis, man. We're about to get taken home by one of the guys I think gonna do a great job for you, Mr. Corey Yates. So,
all right, yeah. So I think there's 3 reasons a player should consider entering the portal, and I'm going to take this through the lens of a player. So, number one is when your production is not commensurate with your snaps. So if you're producing and you're highly productive and you're productive pretty consistently, but your snaps are fluctuating from game to game, and you ask why, and the coach says, "Man, I forgot I got caught up in the game. I'll get you next week." You might want to think about a change of scenery. Point number 2, if you've gone, and this is just my personal opinion, if you've gone through at least 2 springs and you're 3rd, 4th on the depth chart and you're not happy with your role, that's probably a sign that it's not a good fit for you at your current school, right? You should know, and the coaches by that time, they've had a chance to evaluate you for 2 years. And if you've not moved up the depth chart, it's probably not a good fit. And if you're looking to get a pretty good college experience and earn some playing times, you might want to look. And it's okay to move down. It's okay to move down a level to get on the field. And then thirdly, if you feel like you're not being developed, that's in a way that's going to help you reach your goals, right? So coaches talked about it earlier. If you're a small school prospect that has earned all conference, all American status, and you want to try your hand and play up and challenge yourself at the Power 5 level, then I think that's a good reason to do so. But again, there's a risk, right? And you have to understand you're going into a situation, if you're that player that's moving up, you're going into a situation where you may be asked to come in, not necessarily from a need standpoint, but from a depth standpoint. And if you're okay with that and you feel confident and you want to place a big bet on yourself, then I think it's perfectly okay to go ahead and make that move to get into the portal. But you have to have a game plan when you do so. Thanks, Coach Scott.
Thank you, Corey. I knew you do a great job, man. Thanks for bringing us home on this topic. Topic number 5 is complete, but I want to add just a few things to this. If a recruit goes into the portal and he has baggage when he goes into the portal, I want to say the college coaching world is very small. We will find out why you went into the portal and what is really going on with you. And for that high school coach, that high school recruit that's listening, we'll make that choice based off of, hey, good character. Good character goes a long way. If this portal kid has bad character, this high school kid got good character, or junior college kid has good character, that's going to outweigh, man. That's going to outweigh because he's in the portal for a reason. So that concludes topic number 5. I appreciate everyone tuning in. This wraps up KS Recruiting Talks for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Thank you, guest panel, for all the great information. Thank you, Coaching Network, for joining in with KS Recruiting Talk. Inspire, educate, motivate. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.